What a beautiful thing. Sometimes I just turn the monitor on and off, hoping I don't break it. But I just want one more degauss. So I'm playing this on a very new computer. This is an AMD 5600X and an NVIDIA GTX 3060 Ti. It's completely overkill for DOS. But of course, with hardware like this, guess what I want to do? I want to plug up a CRT and then get DOS up and running. Like a Windows activation activist these days, but that's paying the bills, and paying the bills is not what makes me happy. Money's not what makes me happy. Retro games, especially DOS, that's what makes me happy. You know, without activation, you can't change your desktop wallpaper. You can't come in and customize your taskbar. You can't access any of this stuff here. You'll not be able to change to the dark theme, which is extremely important to me. Some of the other new features through Windows Update you won't get, so you definitely do want to activate. Today's content is brought to you by bobkeys.com. This is where I buy my Windows 10 keys, and every now and then I'll snag a game or something, but I just bought my 7th Windows 10 key here for Windows 10 Professional. You're going to get 25% off the prices you see here using coupon code TS25. So this is Windows 10 Pro, 25% off that. You want Windows 10 Home? Also, if you want to get a bundle with Microsoft Office and Windows 10, you can get that. Got all kinds of things, 2019, just lots and lots of things. Oh, this is a double 2PC. After you purchase your key, you just click up here, click on User Center. You click on My Purchased Orders. Just click on View Keys and Codes. Then in the middle of the page, you'll see your product key. Just highlight that. You're going to want to copy this, then press the Start button on your computer, and then type Activate. You'll see activation settings. Just go ahead and click on that and change product key. Paste it here, then click Next, and you will be activated. So again, thanks to bobkeys.com, TS25, head over there. The links are all on the top of the description. This video on DOS may be a little meandery, but come along with me for this journey, and what we're going to do is kind of have a real-time session of me going through and messing with a lot of these DOS games to show you that it's actually pretty easy. There's a small amount of fussing you'll have to do, but it's so easy to do in comparison to using the regular DOSBox where you'll have to go in and edit config files and stuff like that. You can do it all right here in the menus. So come along with me. You're going to learn how to change the Midi devices. You're going to learn how to set up multiple different games. You're going to learn how to change the speed, and you're going to learn how to use the save state system to save your game. It basically gives you quick save on any game at any time. And it works right in Retroarch, so you'll be able to control everything with your controller. And we'll show you how to set up. This is a PlayStation controller. I played most of these games with our Finnic wireless controller, which when you plug it in, it just shows up as an Xbox controller. So I recommend that one, or you can just use PlayStation controller, Xbox controller, whatever. So let's go on this journey and play some DOS games in the easiest way possible. A new flavor of DOSBox that recently came out. It's a fork of the regular DOSBox called DOSBox Pure, and it does not run like DOSBox does. It runs inside of Retroarch. So if that's all like a foreign language to you, just stay tuned because I'm going to show you. So DOSBox Pure, go and say thank you to all these contributors here who've made this happen. And it's not available directly through Retroarch just yet. You're going to have to download it separately, but let's just take a quick look at the features. You can load your games from zip drives. That's really cool. And then you can see everything else we have here. The keyboard emulation, the joystick emulation, and the mouse emulation, all this stuff is going to be really handy, and I'll show you how it works. So let's just go ahead and get it installed, and then we'll open up some DOS games and play around. And I mean, it's pretty close to like, it just works, but it's always going to have a little fussing. But I found that the fussing in this was much easier because you could just open up the Retroarch menu and change your config files right from in there. Now, I'm going to scroll down here, and you want to get Windows. If you're using Windows, Linux, whatever you're using, you can come down here and grab the flavor you like. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the Windows. I'm going to get the 64-bit, and you can get the installer if you want to. I highly recommend downloading just a regular version you can install in a folder, just like this version here. And the reason is when you download the installer, it actually creates folders in your app data, whereas if you just download this version, you can just open it up right in the folder and edit stuff right inside the folder. So I much prefer to do it this way, and I'm just going to install this on my desktop for demonstration purposes to show you how it works. So yeah, I'm gonna open up this archive. There it is. You can download it if you like as well. I'm just gonna extract everything in here to a folder on my desktop. I'm gonna make a new folder called DOS Fun. This is not what you should be doing. Put it on your hard drive wherever you like. DOS Fun, yeah. I don't know why that happened. Give me all of this and drop it in there, yes. And just wait. Wait. All right, so inside here we have Retroarch. I'm gonna go ahead and open that up and just show you what this looks like. Just for a quick. So this is what I'm gonna be using. I like the layout of this one a lot, plus I also like the weight of it. And this is a wireless controller. You just plug it up right here. And one of the things I like about the controller that we made here is that if you hold down the home button for 5 or 6 seconds, it will change between X input to direct input. So for some really old school games, you can hold this down and then use direct input. But for everything we're going to be doing, since we're using Retroarch, it works perfectly with an Xbox controller. So when you first plug this in, it will detect as an Xbox controller, and then you're not going to have to do any configuration. It's already good to go. Just you know, there you have it. It's perfectly set. And now the home button is also going to well, make sure you have Steam closed, because if you press home, it'll generally bring Steam up on the screen. You can turn that off, but it's really annoying. So I turn it off in Steam, and then when you're in Retroarch, home brings up your menu while you're in games. So that's the controller that I'm using. I'll put a link to this in the description. So I'll show you around. Right now you can use Retroarch to play all of your retro games, practically. And if you want to look for the different things, you can import content. But the first thing I want to do is just get some cores, load core. We have no cores. Cores are basically emulators, you know, for your different game systems. And there's all these emulators here that you can use. You might want to look up which one is the best depending on what system you have. If you want a full-on video of me telling you which ones I think are the best for like a modern Windows 10 system, you know, like which one do I pick for arcade? Which one do I pick for Atari? Which one do I pick for, I don't really play Commodore games that much. Which one do I pick for DOS? So the two options we have here for DOS are DOSBox Core, which is the old school DOSBox, and DOSBox SVN, which has some updates and new features, but DOSBox Pure is not on here yet because it's very new. It just came out, I believe, in the official version was in January. So I'll show you how to get DOSBox going, but first I'll just install the core in here just so we can see it. I'll just install the Super Nintendo core that I normally use and the Nintendo 64 core, just because this one's the fastest in my opinion and it works great. This one's a little more accurate sometimes, but you know, it's up to you. And then for Super Nintendo, come down here, I'll grab the current version of SNES 9X. Not really any reason to use anything other than that when it comes to Super Nintendo. So I grabbed a couple cores now. I want to get that other DOSBox going, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And now we need to download DOSBox Pure. Go to the releases page, and here's the newest version from 7 days ago. If you're watching this video tomorrow, it'll be 8 days ago. Alright, so then grab the version that you want. We've got Windows, you can get Linux if you need it, ARM as well. So if you're installing this on like a, I don't know, it was Raspberry Pi ARM, I guess so. I use the S905 Xbox for the Senpai, so that would be using that version to throw onto the Senpai. Let's just open this up real quick. I'll save it and then open it later like a civilized human. All right, there we go. So now we have our core file, which is a DLL, and then we have our info file, and these go into two separate folders inside your Retroarch folder. The info file is going to go in your app data folder if you use the installer. So that's why I say I'd rather not use that installer. And so there's a folder here called cores. And that is where you see that we just installed the Super Nintendo and also the N64 emulator. They're both in here, those cores. Put your DLL file in there. Now we got to put our info file elsewhere. The info file is just going to go into the info folder. Drop that in there. Okay, that's it. Now we can try out some DOS games. I'm going to go ahead and open Retroarch back up. I can close this. So I need some games in here. I guess I could import my DOS games. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to scan the directory where I've placed all my DOS games. And again, if you have a bunch of DOS games in zip files, this will work perfectly with those. And once we get this installed, you're going to be like, I didn't know DOSBox could do any of those things. And that's going to be like, well, probably because it couldn't. So I'm going to scroll down on my hard drive and look for my, it's Microsoft DOS. There we go. And I'm just going to scan this directory. You guys need to be playing these games here. These are the ones in folders, but there's a whole bunch of zip files that don't show up here. Just go ahead and hit scan. And now we wait. I don't know why, but these dumb accents. The way Retroarch works is it scans everything in the directory and then creates a database. So you're actually opening files from a database. Now, I've found Retroarch to be about 80 to 90% accurate when it scans things, and a lot of times it will miss some games that maybe you want to play. And you'll be like, hey, this game is in my folder. Why is it not in Retroarch? And that's not a huge deal to me. I actually prefer opening games from a folder instead of opening them within Retroarch. But some people, if you just want to scroll through Retroarch, you can actually go and edit the playlist file. It's beyond the scope of this video, but let me know if you guys want more content like this, and maybe we can do it. Let's show you why this is really, really special. It's actually easier if you use a controller because it's made to be messed with a controller. Go to settings and you can go down to input. We have, controls to... It automatically detects the Xbox, so I don't want to mess with my port 1 controls. Not yet. But we have hotkeys. So I'm going to open up the hotkeys. And then we have all kinds of different things here. Load state and save state. Ooh, isn't that nice? So I do the original Deus Ex method of loading and saving because I like having it this way. I do number pad plus and slash because there's never any confusion between those two different buttons. And then we have different save slots that we can choose from. So that way you can have multiple different quick saves in different slots and not write over the same quick save over and over. So I'm gonna have this one quick save plus will be 2 on the numpad and minus will be 1. So that way I can 1 and 2 will go up and down between my different quick saves. And then as you can see here, we also have plenty of other options. There's a rewind button that some people will find really useful if you want to if you just keep falling off the same cliff and you don't have time because you're an adult now and you've got things to do. You got to go drink Chianti and complain. Well, you can just press the R key and you'll be good. All right, so got some hotkeys now. Now let's go back into DOSBox. But DOSBox doesn't work with quick saves and stuff like that. DOSBox Pure works with save states. That's what's so cool about this. So let's open up another game here. I'll go back and do Blackthorn. Sometimes when it imports multiple things, you'll have to go in and change your playlist files because it's like inside the Betrayal at Krondor folder, it's found multiple executable files and it's listed them all here. Any one of these you click should run the game in DOSBox Pure. You just have to pick your core and then run. And as you can see here, it's going to probably open up just fine. Yep, they're probably all going to open this, but it's detecting this and this and this and all these exe files. So that's a thing. Once you're in a game, press the home button, and we've got the options. Press the home button again to leave. Pretty easy. I'm just going to exit out of this. Yeah. I'm going to open up a few games here just to give you an idea of the flow. It's almost a gameplay loop of tinkering a little bit with DOSBox Pure to get it to work, but it's so simple compared to messing with the config files with regular DOSBox, having to install things and all that sort of thing. It's so much easier, and then running things from a zip file. This is the way I'm going to be playing all my DOS games. Just, it's the way it's going to be. You see I've got 2 cursors right here, and also all the keyboard shortcuts that are part of Retroarch are going to conflict with a lot of things that are going on in your system. However, if you just reach over to your keyboard and press the scroll lock button, it does something called game focus on and off. As we can see here, game focus off, game focus on. When game focus is on, then your keyboard, none of the hotkeys work, it just works in the game. So let's, here we go. If you've installed DOSBox as well, you'll have to choose between the different cores, DOSBox Pure or the regular DOSBox or SVN or whatever you've got. So we're gonna open up Blackthorn. And I expect this to be running a little slow because Blackthorn was, I think, 1994, 93. Let's run, I like to run setup first. So I hit my scroll lock so I'm not messing with any hotkeys. Run setup. Ooh, we've got sound card options and music card options. I'm using the Sound Blaster 16. That'll work fine with Pro. Default 220 IQ7 DMA1. That's default for most things. But if you're confused about all this configuration stuff, let me just bring game focus again. You can come down here and we can click on options. These are the options of the core. Go advanced. There we go. If we scroll down, you can see all kinds of different options here. We're going to come back to this when it talks to all this stuff, but right now we're using, yeah. I'm going to bring up the RAM a little bit. Why not? It'll have to be the next time I restart, but Right here, we can have our audio options. As you can see, our Sound Blaster settings are set to port 220, IRQ7, DMA1. So that's what we're set to. You can change this if you wanted to. And then audio MIDI output. Ooh, we can use a MIDI output as well. So all kinds of things we can do there. I'm not going to worry about it just right now. All right, select digital music device. I'll use the Sound Blaster Pro again. This will work with the Gravis Ultrasound. AdLib is going to work with most things. Same thing. All right, save and exit. Okay, this is already filled in for us here. This is what copy protection used to be like. You have to open up your physical manual and then look for a word in there and then enter it. All right, so go ahead and run Blackthorn here. Yamaha OPL3 basic cards were produced by the Fat Man, developed by K. Weston Felon and George Alistair Sanger? I don't know. All right, yes. Skip through this. If you want to fast forward, spacebar, I believe it's fast forward by default. There we go. Oh, fast forwarded too much. Hear that? We're about to play Blackthorn. All right. See if my controller works. It does. Okay, so let's go ahead to new game here. See how it works. We're gonna have to change some of these options, but stick with me. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. Sarlacc. The Super Nintendo version had better music, but this one's, it's growing on me. This little like cheesy MIDI stuff, it's growing on me. Game focus off. Spacebar, fast forward. Yeah. You have to play this on your own. Okay, enough. Feels a little slow. Okay, my buttons are also a little weird. Yeah, see, he's moving slow. He should be moving faster than this. All right, so if the game's running slow, what you're gonna need to do, press this button and open up your options. And here we have emulated performance 486, DX2, Pentium 100, Pentium 2. Let's just say we're running a Pentium 100. Let's see how this feels. We could try a few different things. All right. That feels good. Yeah, this is correct. Oh, Jesus. Go away. Game focus mode. All right. All these things go away. These notifications will go away. What is going on? Okay, there we go. I pressed the button too many times. All right, so we're good. Now my buttons are kind of weird. Like this is my run button and stuff, and I kind of want to change it to the way it was on Super Nintendo just from... Oh, I'm so sorry. How do I do the backwards shot? I need to change my button. So what we can do is we can create a separate button config file just for this game. So I gotta hit scroll lock again to bring game focus off and then press the home button. And now we can come up and do input. Press the B button to go back or this button to go back. And then we can come down to our controls, go in here, port 1 controls. Now check this out. You have a representation of which buttons that you're gonna be changing. And in a lot of games, it'll map and tell you what they're doing, like the run back. You can just see right here what it is. So I want this button to be holster. There we go. And I want this button to be inventory. It uses the inventory. Not previous. I want it to be my inventory use. Inventory, there we go. It uses whatever is selected in your inventory. Previous and next inventory are correct, the L and R buttons. Let's see here what else I need. I want my X button to be run. Where is that? And by the way, this works with your analog as well. It basically simulates it. Okay, this button, I want this to be okay, jump is correct. I'm going to leave that as is, but I want this to be like my run button, I think. Run and fire backwards. Perfect. Now I'm going to come up, I'm going to go back and save this. Go back, and then save game remap file. So what this will do is a lot of games you're going to find the default controls work perfectly. But I've just changed the controls inside Blackthorn. And if I go in here and save this, it saves the remap just for this game, so I'm never going to have to do this again. Really awesome, makes my life easy. Also, while we're at it, all the options. If you go back into options, all the options that we just changed, like I changed some of this stuff down here. I made this a Pentium. Make it even faster. See if it works. I'll leave it like this for now. Pentium 100, because it's working perfectly with the Pentium 100, which is about right since 1994. Pentium 100 was around the same time. So I can create a separate options file that will load just for this game. By pressing this, now I just created an options file that goes into the folder. So every time you load up Blackthorn, it's going to load these options, these core settings, and it's just going to work. So now, check and see if everything works. Put away my gun. This is my run button. Yes! And then this should be jump. There we go, that jumps. And then my I don't have any inventory items yet. Let's roll over and get one. So that's my inventory item. Let's see if there's another one right here. Now L and R should change between those things. There we go, L and R. So I've got that one selected, and this should be the button to throw it. Oh god, it's so good. Oh, get out my gun. Is there a guy over here? I don't remember about it. If you've not played Blackthorn, it's Blizzard's best game, just so you know. All right, let's try out a couple other games just to see if we can help you troubleshoot before it's even time to troubleshoot. I'm having too much fun. Hey, buddy, you've got a potion. I'll just be taking that. He normally, if you talk to him, he'll give it to you, but in the Super Nintendo version, they cut out all the blood, but they have a really nice soundtrack, so it's like, to close your content correctly, just press your back button so you get to the main page, and then go up and then press close content. Okay, so that was that game. So if I open up Ultima 7, let's just show you what happens here, because we're going to need to do a little bit of configuration. Go, click on Run, DOSBox Pure, thank you very much, and then Run. Okay, go ahead and embiggen this. Yeah. Turn game focus on so I'm not messing with stuff. I pick our Sound Blaster Pro, 220. This one, it knows. Yes. Alright, so now let's load Ultima 7. Please remove your expanded memory manager before running Ultima 7. Now, normally when you see this, you would have to go into DOSBox, DOSBox. You'd have to go into the DOSBox configuration files and mess with a bunch of stuff. You'd basically just have to find the EMS setting and change that from off to on or on to off or whatever. But check this out. We can just put game focus back off, hit the options button, and then go down to options. Now, inside options here, under our memory, there we go. So memory, I have to restart for this, but there we go. Disable extended memory, no EMS, XMS. Right there it is. Let us go up and save this now. Create game options file. Yeah, we're going to do that. Now we're going to need to restart this content. Now let's see if it works. Turn my game focus back on. So easy. That was so easy. I believe it's running a little slow, but we'll see. These games always have a zany intro, just so you know. All the Ultima games, you always have to travel to Britannia. Anyway, we got that one working. It's running a little slow, so let me just fix that up real quick by going back down to my options and then cranking up my CPU speed a little bit. What do we got here? Performance. When did this game come out? Let's see here. So that's a quick thing that I usually do is I'll just pop open Google, sometimes look up a game and be like, okay, when did this game come out? And it came out in 1992. I usually like to go match hardware for the year or something around then. Pentium, we probably do 4060X2. Yeah, perfect. Let's try that out. And there we go. I'm going to come up here and save my core options. Don't have to do this, but you'll probably want to do this. There we go. Save. All right, it's running faster. Is it running too fast? 4060X2 shouldn't be that fast. Behind your house lies the circle of stones. There it is. Let's get into the game. Come on. I just want to move around and see if it's too fast. Moving really fast, actually. 1992. Okay, 4060X2 is a bit much, so let's crank that down. See, this is the kind of stuff you'll have to do, but after you do it the first time, then you'll be able to enjoy the game for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So let's try 4633. Okay, how are we doing now? Yes, get through this. I think it's about the right speed. So you'll just finagle with a few different things to get the right speeds and stuff like that, and you should be fine. All right, and move. Now this guy, come on, intro. So this was, if you haven't played this game, this is probably the first real open world RPG. Okay, yeah. You should play it. There are some other versions you can play for widescreen and stuff, but you know. All right, we good? Okay, that's running about fast enough, I guess. We're just going with this guy to go somewhere. This is what games used to be like. Oh yeah, let's show you how the save states work. Just game focus off. Saved. Oh, I forgot that plus is also your audio. I'll go back in and I'm gonna have to change my hotkeys for audio as well, but it works. Save state, and now I can move around a little bit. Okay, and I'll just reload to show you. I'll disappear and right back there. So that's a save and load. I can also change to save slot 1, save slot 2. Okay, we'll save slot. Oh, I've reloaded save slot. But you get the idea. I don't need to show you how save states work. Okay, enough of this game. Let's try one more game, and then we'll call it a day. Oh yeah, I want to show you some of the audio options. So let's use Rise of the Triad, because that game has an amazing soundtrack. But it sounds totally different if you use ad lib versus the standard MIDI, and you can actually emulate the Roland I'll show you. So the fast way for me to load up a new game is to literally open up my folder right here, and it's so much easier just to scroll down to what I want to get and be like, okay, I want to play Rise of the Robot. Sure, there we go. 1994. There we go. Perfect. Probably in 95. Yeah, Pentium 100. 4060X2 should work just fine for this. Okay. The memory. It always wants me to restart, whatever. A little more. System CPU type. You don't really need to worry about this too much if you're messing up here with the performance. This really confused me first because you could set your emulated performance up here, and then you can set your CPU type down here. You might need to do this for some specific games that really need some sort of compatibility options. So yeah. All right. Yes, show advanced options. Create a game file there. All right. Press F5 while you're in Retroarch. It brings up a desktop menu. It's ugly. Can you do a dark mode or something? I guess not. Anyway, this is the desktop browser mode. It is ugly, but it's so much easier to navigate all your games and stuff. And you also have a file browser, which I totally forgot about. You can click on the file browser and just browse to it that way. So that probably, but anyway, I'm already come this far. So just know you can press F5 and have a much easier, if ugly. Hey, we can download thumbnails, by the way. Let's get a game that we know we're going to have thumbnails for. Alone in the Dark. There we go. Download thumbnail. Check that out. You can do it for all of them if you want to. It'll take a while, though. I'm not going to do it for all of them. Alone in the Dark 3. Download thumbnail. I forgot about that. And then over here, you'll see. No, close this. Look at that. Alone in the Dark. So that was easy to do. We can go over to our desktop mode and just wanted to highlight all of them, or just, you know, thumbnails. Get them if you want to. Anyway, I haven't played with this as much as many people out there. Let's go down and load up Rise of the Triad. We just search. There we go. Rise of the Triad Dark War. Ooh, thank you, Tom Hall, for this masterpiece. There we go. DOSBox Pure. It's kind of a goofy looking thing, but yeah. Now, we're going to show you a couple different options when it comes to games crashing. I'll show you a couple different options. I'm just going to drag and drop it over here. Rise of the Robots again, I swear. It's easy just to grab and drag and drop a different one. Okay, Rise of the Triad. So I'm going to use Rise of the Triad to teach you a little bit about DOSBox audio, and you're going to love this. But first off, let's go down and check out setup and see what we've got here. The modern games had much better, much easier to configure stuff. Set up your sound and effects. I have enabled the Gravis Ultrasound. Give it 6 voices, why not? There we go. So that worked. See, now we can hear audio. So for our internal music, what do we have here? We've got the Sound Blaster, I guess. Do the ultrasound, see how that works. I'll just use the ultrasound, or I could do ad-lib. Just show you what it sounds like by default. There we go. This is like the default MIDI. Turn it up so you can hear it. Crank up this music. We're gonna run Rise of the Triad. Focus, please. There we go. Cut it out. Now, the way audio works in DOS is you have two different things. You have your music and you have your sound effects, which are usually digitized sound effects that you'll have in the game. And only the CD-ROM games would really have digital audio and music and, you know, full music and stuff like that. So the way that they kept the file size really small is you would have sound font libraries or MIDI libraries installed on your Windows computer, and then the game could use those. And they usually sounded pretty crappy. You were just hearing like the default ad-lib is what they called it, audio. Now, if you had a MIDI device, like an actual like professional MIDI device, like a little Roland or a Yamaha device that was external to your computer, you could use that as your MIDI library of sounds. So you would plug from your computer into this MIDI device using a MIDI cable, and then that would be driving all of the instruments, and so you would have much better sound. Well, now it's a lot easier to do this in Windows. So all we need to do is, I'll put a link to this in the description, is come over here and download the Roland SC55 sound font. This is it's not going to be as good as using the real the real audio hardware, but you'll hear the difference between the other version of Rise of the Triad and this version of Rise of the Triad. And we can throw this in and tell the DOS games to use this and use all of these much better sounding instruments. So in order to do that, we just come over here to the archive. Thank you, Emperor Griefers. And then just show all the files here. And I just want the SF2 file. That's the sound font. It's basically a package full of all the instruments. So click on this to download this file, just the SF2. Let me show you where you put it. Just go into your Retroarch directory, and there's a system folder. Double click on the system folder and just drag it in there. I've already done it, but you know, why not? We'll show you how it works. So now inside your system folder, you've got this, and you can, if you want to get like other libraries, like maybe a Yamaha, OP3 or something like that, you can put other ones in there and just see how they sound. But this is the one that I think sounds really good. Depends on the game. Some games like Descent and stuff, maybe some of the instruments are a little weird or a little overbearing. But anyway, now let's go ahead and try this again. So I'm going to go back to my history right here, open up Rise of the Triad again, and run it. Now the first thing I want to do is hit my options here. And I'm going to go down and configure this sound font library. Go down to my options. Press up, that brings me to the bottom really quickly. And on the bottom here we have something called audio MIDI output. That's what I was talking about, how you could run the MIDI output to a separate device. We can open this up, front-end MIDI driver, and right there it is, right there. This wasn't there before we dropped that file in there. So Roland SC55 version 3.7, good to go. Now we can go ahead and save this to our game up here. There we go. Save the core options file. All right, let's go back into this, and now I can run setup again and come down to modified sounds. There we go. All right, set up music. Okay, I want to go down to general MIDI. That's going to just run through the MIDI. And what that's going to do is it's going to simulate running out from the MIDI of your sound card into the MIDI. 330, there we go. You hear the difference. Just going to let it. See the smile? That is a Roland SC55 Apogee logo smile. Yes. Bother me! Rocket. Right over here. I don't know what I just did. Yes. Oh, let's try Doom. Let's try Doom. There we go. I guess with just the keyboard, I haven't done this in a while. Awkward. What the hell? Careful on that. Sounds awesome. This is how I play my DOS games. I could probably make 10 more videos on all this stuff, configuring different things, but I think if you start messing around with it, you'll get the idea. But the main thing is I want to get to you in this video is that you can load games from your zip files. You can install your own Midi devices, and just by throwing them into the Retroarch system folder, you have save state support. And you know what? It'll also play Scum VM games just fine. Said I wasn't going to play anymore. One Scum game. What do we got? About Secret of Monkey Island. Do we have that? This is just the standard ad-lib audio. Let's see if we can change it. Such a pretty game. This outfit was so much cooler in part 2 than part 1. Alright, let's get that Midi device changed. Alright, so there you have it. You can fuss around and get this thing working with pretty much everything. But I also really like the fact that I know now that I can download all of my games from GOG and just launch the exe from that folder, and it works. It'll ignore all the GOG stuff. I mean, I guess you could go in if you wanted to and delete like the extra GOG folders and stuff. For instance, like, you know, like for Eye of the Beholder 2 here, we don't need all this stuff. We don't need cloud support. We don't need cloud saves. We don't need DOSBox. Delete all that. And then we can delete anything that says GOG. Like, I think down here there's like some GOG options. Like, keep that shortcut. It doesn't matter. Like all this GOG stuff, you don't need it. Delete it. Yes, goodbye. And now we can still run straight from here. Eye of the Beholder. Application files. Start.exe. Drag and drop. DOSBox pure. Thank you very much. Actually, let's run setup. Yeah, that works just fine. Just delete all your GOG stuff. And we can play our GOG DOS games that we downloaded. Don't need that either. And we can play them all from right here. So pretty nice and easy. This video was a little bit all over the place, but it was kind of me, you know, messing with this in real time. So it'll give you an idea of what it'll be like for you to mess with this. But hey, now you can play games from what I think is probably the best gaming platform, maybe ever, DOS, and then early Windows as well. Where just, you know, nerds could make a game without a lot of input from idiots in suits who do not care about gameplay, who only care about the bottom line. So you got a lot of awesome games, and then you know, things changed over time, but just some really awesome nerdy games with some great content. Enjoy some DOS games. Play them on Retroarch, and I'll see you later.